Okay, we have sound, we're ready to go. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. As I said, we just completed an executive session. There was no vote, and we'll now go into our Board of Select Persons meeting for today, July 17th at 7:30. The next item is public comment. This is not a public hearing, so if you have comments on any of the agenda items, I ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Since I know a lot of you are here to comment on item 2, which is the Board of Ethics decision, I may leave the room now because I've been asked to recuse myself from the meeting, and if there's going to be a lot of public comment about this, I think it's better that I just am out of the room. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'll recuse myself at 7:34.
Okay.
And turn the meeting over to
Then
Barbara.
turn the meeting over to select person Barbara Manners.
Okay. We're here to entertain public comment. And, excuse me, we'll get to it. We're here to entertain public comment. Everybody is limited to 3 minutes, no more. And comment should be about the agenda items, not about anything in the world. So please keep your comments to the agenda items. All right. We have people who want to speak? Okay.
She asked that in connection with the Commission on Aging.
Commission.
Your comments.
Do you want me to stand up and just address?
Yeah.
Name and address for the record.
You good. We'll add it to the record.
All right, you ready?
Yes?
Okay. I'm a longtime resident.
No. Speak into the microphone.
And just please begin with your name and address.
Okay.
Right.
My name is Brenda Finkel, 638 Danbury Road, Ridgefield. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a longtime resident of this wonderful community, and I'm here today to address a critical need that deserves our immediate attention and action: the establishment of an affordable adult daycare facility in Ridgefield. My husband and I drive over an hour each day to access adult daycare services. This journey is time-consuming and challenging. Many other Ridgefield seniors face similar challenges. Ridgefield has experienced a significant demographic shift. The population of residents aged 65 and older has increased substantially, and that trend will continue for the foreseeable future. Indeed, the need is urgent. Adult daycare services improve the quality of life for seniors and their caregivers. They offer a safe and supportive environment for seniors during the day, allowing caregivers to attend to their own needs and responsibilities with peace of mind. They reduce caregiver stress and delay the need for costly long-term care options. I propose that the town actively pursue opportunities to bring an affordable daycare facility to Ridgefield. This aligns perfectly with your commitment to the well-being of our seniors. There are several ways to achieve this. 1, donating space. The town could donate or repurpose existing municipal space for the facility to significantly reduce costs and make the project more feasible. 2, partnerships with nonprofits. We can collaborate with nonprofits specializing in adult care, daycare services, and bring expertise and resources to the project. 3, community involvement. Engaging the community can create a robust support network, ensuring success and sustainability. I'm not merely an advocate. I am offering my commitment, and I am willing to work with the select board to explore options, develop a work plan, and bring the vision to reality. Together, we can enrich Ridgefield and support our seniors and their families. The time is right to establish an affordable adult care facility in Ridgefield. It is a necessity, a moral imperative, and an investment in the dignity, health, and well-being of our seniors. Please consider this proposal and take the steps to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, Brenda. Yes?
My name is Joseph Ternulo, and I am from 66 Grove Street in Ridgefield, and I am Chair of the Commission on Aging. I want to echo Brenda's comments, and if the Select Board would like, given that I believe we will very shortly have a full complement of commissioners on the Commission on Aging, if you would like to direct us to work with Brenda or others, we would be happy to assist you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Joe. Great. Okay, is there any other public comment before we get started with the meeting? John, 3 minutes, please.
I gotta get up there first.
He could speak from, well,
This way.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm John Tartaglia, 638 Danbury Road. Then we go to the issue of the act and the ethics complaint. Just quickly, I would never say a bad word about Rudy Marconi. I don't agree with a lot of things he does, but I never seen a better man. He's older, but I never seen a better man for the job in the town. The ethics opinion, I don't know who made it, or the ethics complaint, and then the opinion, I think it calls to your mind issues that relate to the public funding of private not-for-profits. The question of whether public funds can be addressed or allocated to private not-for-profits and which one and how is a serious First Amendment issue. I pointed it out to all of you. I know everybody had sentiments on it, but I want you to understand that the comments addressed and the, I thought, rather detailed reasons why this was not a good idea ought to be seriously considered because they could lead you to litigation, which is cost.
Okay,
So that's
thank
all I
you.
have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any further comments, public comments from the public? Kirk? 3 minutes, please.
Two of these, just pass it that way. Pass it that way.
There's nothing. My name is Kurt Carr. I'm at 62 Prospect Ridge. What I've just passed out is a memo to you that you should have received on the 11th of July. And I'm not going to read it, clearly.
No, would take longer.
Yes, it would take longer than 3 minutes, and that's why I gave it to you in this form. I want, as the person who brought the ethics allegation, I want you to know that this was not intended, the purpose was not to embarrass Mr. Marconi, who I also agree with Mr. Tartaglia is a fine public servant. However, this is not a technicality. I mean, this is serious stuff. And and this was a rookie mistake made by a veteran politician, and it should not be dismissed so easily. The purpose of the complaint was so that you would have an opportunity to get it right a second time. And there are many flaws in this. First of all, I don't believe this is going to be funded by LoCIP. I think that you were misled about other 501c3s, some of whom do have responsibility for their exteriors. I think you were just given some really bogus information about the financial situation at ACT. I understand that they do have a 2023 990 and that it is in the hands of the Ridgefield Press, but they were asked not to share it. So we know that such a document exists, or at least I believe it exists. And before you make any decisions, you should demand that 990 for 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carr. Okay. Do we have any other comment? Erin Craig.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Erin Craig, 387 Wilton Road West, Ridgefield. I am also the producing director at ACT of Connecticut. As the issue of our renegotiated lease has opened up through this conversation of the Ethics Board, the
It hasn't opened up.
the opportunity for it to be reopened. I wanted to just take a moment to address a couple of things that have seemingly continued to be brought up by a variety of different people. Number one, there was a letter that was published by Mr. Carr, specifically referring to documents and numbers that relate to our 990s. The first thing I wanted to address is that it was incorrectly noted that it was 2022. It was actually our 2021 990 that he was referencing, which does carry through our fiscal year 22. And the reason I bring that up is that that was, as we all know, a very heavily COVID period of time. And during that time, we received, just like other nonprofits and other organizations in the country, received COVID relief funds. They hit our books at that time, and so they were recorded. If you were to look at the 990, it does specifically pull out the governmental funds, and it also specifically looks at the difference of the first 5 years, which this was part of our first 5 years. And you can see the comparison as to where the additional COVID funds pushed us over a number that we will never see again. These were one-time monies. In addition, if you look at the 990s, you will also note that within the total assets, there are allocations for all of the improvements and all of the remedy that ACT did, which were nearly $2 million. And that's part of our assets. If we were to not be able to continue our functioning, we would walk out and those would remain in the building that was in disrepair when we took over, and we spent that money to repair it and to make it a state-of-the-art, wonderful cultural opportunity
Okay.
for our town.
Erin, 3 minutes.
Am I done? Thank you.
Daniel Levine?
Hi, Dan Levine, 35 Oscaletta Road. I have a letter from our board's treasurer that she asked me to read at this meeting tonight. It's
You
from
give it to me for the record afterwards.
Yeah, I will, sure. Yep. This is from Tizzy Mantione, ACT's board treasurer. Yeah, we got a copy. We got this email. Great.
Okay.
Great. Okay for me to read
I didn't
it?
see it.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
it. Go ahead.
Can I get my time back? Great. I currently serve as a volunteer treasurer and board member at ACT of Connecticut. I have previously come before you when serving as a volunteer treasurer and board member of the Ridgefield Library. I've lived in Ridgefield almost 25 years, volunteered in numerous capacities, raised both of my children here, and treasure all of what Ridgefield has to offer. Regrettably, I'm unable to attend the Board of Selectmen meeting where the Board of Ethics decision is on the agenda. In my absence, I'd like this letter read. I urge you to uphold your recent vote on ACT of Connecticut's lease. ACT of Connecticut is a 501c3. We lease our building from the town, as many other 501c3s do. The roof is covered by the town in many other leases, as stated in the town meetings of 410, 424, and 58. This building belongs to the town and is a town asset. ACT has invested over $1.4 million renovating the entire interior, including the auditorium, the offices, installing new HVAC, ductwork, electrical, and bathrooms, as well as undertaking various exterior improvements. The roof is leaking and is in need of repair. ACT management and board followed town protocol in bringing this matter before you. We had nothing but complete transparency and partnership in mind. We strive to remain a terrific asset to the town of Ridgefield and all of its citizens in running this not-for-profit theater. Our goal is not to generate a profit, but rather to bring Broadway-caliber performances to our backyard and enhance the quality of life for all. In 6 short years, half of them COVID years, where we were shuttered, ACT has been a huge part of the vibrant arts community that made Ridgefield the first cultural district in the state of Connecticut. ACT has driven economic benefit to the town of Ridgefield, and we earnestly want to continue to do so. You have each dedicated untold time and energy to serve the town of Ridgefield. The management team and volunteer board at ACT has likewise poured their time, talent, and energy into building a remarkable asset in Ridgefield, and please help us keep it that way. Also, I just want to state that for Mr. Carr, 990s are available online if you do the proper research. They are all there, just like mugshots are there. Other things are there. You can find that easily. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any other public comment? Yes. Name and address for the record.
My name is Shelley Terry. I live at 75 Acre Lane. So I wanted to come to you tonight and just try to clear up a little bit of misinformation around the topic of ACT of Connecticut and get the record straight regarding the claim that ACT has plenty of money and has plenty of big donors to support our efforts. So my job at ACT is to serve as the Director of Development. So in essence, what that means is that I'm responsible for contributed income. Contributed income includes money that is from individuals. It includes writing grants to private foundations, corporate support, special events like our gala that just happened recently, and government grants. And so the government grant line item is what Erin was just mentioning a minute ago. But if anyone has been to a performance at ACT of Connecticut, we talk very openly and publicly during our curtain speech about the need to educate our donors, our patrons, that we are a nonprofit. First of all, people don't know that. They also don't realize that the ticket sale does not cover our entire operating budget. So therefore, we have a gap in funding. And my job as the Director of Development is to work with individuals, foundations, corporations, special events, government funds, to be able to fill that gap so that we are able to essentially cover our expenses and net out at a zero
Okay.
budget.
Shelley, let me just stop you here, because the item on the agenda tonight is a review of the ethics decision. It is not a review of the lease, and it is not a reopening of the lease.
So if I may just conclude by saying that my concern as the Director of Development who works here in this community is that the information that has publicly been talked about in these meetings is misrepresenting what ACT is all about and how we fund our mission. And therefore, I'm afraid that donors and the public are going to say ACT is not in need of my funds any longer. And that is damaging to us and our reputation. And I wanted to publicly state that that misinformation is something that we're trying to work hard to educate and communicate so people understand what our mission is.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think that was a very important point that you just made. Thank you.
Do we have any more comments? Okay.
Excuse me, since my name was raised, may I just address what was said?
No, you've spoken already, and enough. The item on the agenda tonight is a review of the Board of Ethics decision. That decision was sent back to us. The conclusion of the committee was that it be sent back to the Board of Selectmen. Let me just find it. As such, we refer the matter to the board with Marconi himself expressly precluded from participating. As to remedy, Section 11-9 itself provides guidance. It says, violation of these provisions with the knowledge express or implied of any person or corporation contracting with or making a sale to the town shall render such contract or sale voidable by the board or town agency having jurisdiction. Voidable, not void, is the issue here. And the discussion of this remains at the table tonight. It is not open to the public. I'll start off by saying that I appreciate the Ethics Committee's decision. I think that I don't agree with it, but that is their decision. But that does not in any way make us obligated to open up this contract again. My feeling is that this contract was approved not only at the Board of Selectmen, it was approved by a town meeting. And once it's been approved by the town meeting, to go and reopen it, I'm not sure of the legality of it. But the fact is, I don't want to do it. So I'll let you all take your turns.
Go ahead.
I can't comment as to the legality of it. When I first started on the board, one of the first meetings I came to was the theater barn. Theater barn came and said they didn't have any grant money. They were lost on some grant money to the Aldrich, and they were asking for some relief from us. And I liked the fact that the response was, well, we'll try to help you, but we won't give you money. And the conversation was limited to lending them money, which I thought was, I wasn't really quite aware of what the protocols were, but the fact of the matter is the philosophy, of fiscal discipline I thought was appropriate. The issue kind of came and went, though I don't really know what happened. They went away. I don't know if the problem was resolved or not. But we're looking at a theater, and a not-for-profit theater in a town-owned building. So fast forward, ACT. ACT was handled differently. It was kind of delivered with a solution, i.e. with the LOSIP monies. So it was, in my mind, kind of, again, somewhat of a kind of properly handled in the sense that it wasn't going to put a burden on taxpayers per se, at least not overtly. However, I've come to change my mind with respect to that. What I want is to understand and articulate and enforce more consistent policy as it relates to these entities. We have the Playhouse, we have the Theater Barn, and they're all, peculiar in their own way. They each have a different fact pattern with respect to our support and the history and so forth. Some are, in one case, in the Theater Barn's case, they're not paying their actors. In the case of ACT, they are. It's a different level. I get it. I understand that. But the first thing that I want to come out of this is that we have a consistent policy where we're not kind of what I'll call picking winners and losers. Okay. That's the main thing. And the second thing is that as this was articulated to us at the beginning, there was information missing, which has kind of come to light over time. And it still comes to light over time, and it colors my perception of whether or not we should open it or not. Some of the information presented tonight causes me to rethink whether or not we should reopen it. But other information has caused me to think we should reopen it. I don't think it's, I understand, Barbara, your point of view. One thing that I'm generally concerned about, and I'm kind of getting more comfortable, but is it's my understanding that that ACT lost a primary benefactor, and that's caused them to work harder with respect to accessing other sources of money and sponsorship, shall we say. So and then there's this question of where are the files with respect to their the 9900s, and I've only seen one. I haven't seen anything up to date, so I really want to get a better sense of where they really are financially. They've come in now several times and said, we are where we are. We really aren't what we appeared on paper, and I take them at their word. But I'd like to see those numbers, and I think, we talked about this the last meeting. I did a mea culpa, and I said, as a board, I think we didn't really look at this hard enough. I know I didn't. You guys are a little bit further ahead of me. You know this stuff. You kind of know the history and you know the people. I get it. I didn't want to interrupt that kind of, I didn't want to, come in and upset the apple cart. But, the issue of the consistency in terms of how we treat these entities, and the issue of kind of the financial skill set, and really I'm a little bit concerned that ACT's going to come back to us in in some fashion at some future date, and that we are in effect, we are now their primary sponsor. And I'm not, excuse me, okay? We're loaning you $250,000 of taxpayer money, okay?
All right,
You know
all
what?
right, stop. No,
The issue,
Stop,
we-
stop. We're at the table, please. No
we had,
comments.
we had a very,
Listen to-
we had a very explicit process we had to go to kind of reacquire the responsibility, which we went through, okay? So the contract stipulated otherwise. We went through a process. This was a concession on our part without anything in return, okay? You know, and I feel this is what I want the results to be personally. I want us to have a policy about how we treat these entities. And it doesn't have to be, you know, it's going to be a collective decision. Personally, I would like to see some amount of dollars coming out of ACT to pay us back for the roof. And I would like to negotiate that. And it need not be a huge amount, but enough that kind of keeps them honest with respect to the process, and for them to understand that the taxpayers are doing them a mitzvah, so to speak. That's my,
Okay.
okay.
All right, no, thank you for the comments. So you would, please, we're keeping this discussion at the table, and we don't need comments physically or verbally. Maureen, do you have anything you want to say?
Well, I think, I understand that you haven't been at the table as long as the rest of us. So it's harder when you're starting out to kind of get up to speed, and I appreciate that. There's a couple things, I think that the conversation that we had in the presentation with the theater barn, because I don't think the theater barn ever came to actually ask us. It was a presentation at the selectmen's report,
yeah.
right? It was, I think it's
came on?
completely different, okay?
Okay. well,
But I will say that at the table, I feel that we have been doing a pretty good job, but not a great job, of revealing conflicts of interest. I think there probably are areas that any of us could have a special interest in or a notion, and typically what we've done is somebody, either the person who has that interest has raised it, or another select person has raised it and said, well, I think maybe you should recuse yourself this time because and then we have a discussion, and then we come to a meeting of minds, and if the select person feels that they can, look at the facts straight, they say, yeah, I feel comfortable with that, and we're going to and go forward. It was brought out, but the decision was made at the table. Or if the select person feels they should recuse, they recuse themselves. And for the 15-ish years that I've been on the board, it's worked very well. I don't think that there was any malice or any trickery that Mr. Marconi was trying to purview with this decision. I don't think that he was trying to hide the fact that his wife was a member of an 18 board of directors. I don't think it had any bearing on the vote that we took at the table for the appropriation of dollars for the ACT roof. I think that we have been consistent with how we've dealt with the 501c3s and the town buildings that they rent for $1, but then they spend, blood, sweat, and tears renovating them and getting them up to speed and bringing income into the town. I just feel that we've done that, once you start making a policy for everything, I think that that's when the town starts losing the essence of what we have. And because everything has to be written down, and we have to think of all the contingencies, and we have to decide whether, well, is that going to be fair to this? I think that by and large, we have done a great job of trying to be fair and universal and equitable to people. And I understand why the Board of Ethics reviewed the decision that they did. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that we should all start thinking in our minds if there's some conflict of interest that we might have, we want to bring it out, bring it forward, but I would not reopen this, this lease. I feel it was done fairly. I think we voted unanimously at the table. We had a public hearing and a town meeting where it was voted on unanimous, well, I mean, it was
voted on
practically unanimously.
95%.
I am not going back on that now.
Well, it's 2-1. We don't have to go any further if you guys, I mean,
Well,
Well, just, for the record, I would say, to start out, I don't think there's a reason to open it back up. I appreciate your thoughts on kind of policy and how we think about this thing, but to be very clear, the Board of Ethics said, given the, potential conflict of interest, you have the opportunity to open it up. I didn't see that as a chance to say, I wasn't happy with my earlier decision, I don't like, the way it went through. I think that's a little bit of a red herring. So, it basically said it is up to us to decide if it's, voidable or not. I don't see a reason for it to be voided at all. I think it's unfortunate, all of us, so many of us are involved in so many different things. Like, we should be celebrating and encouraging people to be involved. And it's gotta be tough to say every possible thing that goes through between, myself and my family and what they're involved with. We'd never get anywhere in discussion if we were, like, every single time something came up, we went through all of that. In general, if there's a meaningful, especially a financial issue, I completely agree, it's gotta go through, and we've gotta be clear about that. So, again, I respect, I think that's what you were saying, I respect the Board of Ethics and their process. I disagree. I do not believe there is a need to open back up the amendment to the lease.
okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, in conclusion, I just want to say that the conflict of interest, I don't see Peggy's being on the board as a conflict of interest. She had no financial gain to be gotten from it. She was a public board of director member.
Just to be clear, Barbara, this came as a surprise to me too. I agree. These
Okay.
are fine people doing what they do. I don't take issue with that.
Yeah, no, because,
Like I said, my main concern had more to do with consistency, and I'm
and all of
I'm
that.
being forthcoming.
Right.
Being forthcoming in all respects, and it was.
Okay, and
That's
all
where
of
I am.
that, all right, all of that is valid, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, you raise points that we should discuss at the table. But we should not reopen this lease.
It's 3-1. That's fine. That's democracy, Barbara. Go ahead. Let's
We don't
get
even
it
need
over.
a motion then.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so,
Okay.
item is closed, lease stands, and we move on, and let's tell Mr. Marconi we love him. And that we want him back.